Hey, good afternoon. It's Wednesday. It's a little after 2 o'clock. It's sometimes time for Come On Ref, but now it's time for Sports Show with No Name. It's the Sports Show with No Name. Welcome to the show. I am your host. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Chad Bryant. I've got Ben Bales with me as always. Ben, what's going on, man?
Nothing much.
What are
Hanging
you up
out.
to? Yeah,
Ready for football to start?
yeah. It's we're right here squarely in the middle of it. I mean, what the NFL starts tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
I think every college football team has now played at least one game. Some Florida State have played two. Haven't
Not so
gone
good
so
games.
well.
Yeah.
Yikes. Sorry if there are any Florida State fans that are gonna tune into this, but I don't know. The revenge tour isn't looking so promising suddenly.
Did you see the clip of DJ Uyunglele that pass to the left side of the end zone?
No.
Dude, guy was wide open. Closest guy was probably 10 yards. Throws it 5 feet over his head out of the back of the end zone. I'm like,
Oh man. He's got the yips big time, man.
bro, he
I've
was
been
so
thinking
highly
about him.
talented coming out of high school.
Oh, I know. And it's not that he's a bad player. It's just for some reason it's not translating to success on the field, right?
Nope.
Like I've been thinking about that. And we can talk about it a little bit later. I think when we get into some Buckeye stuff, I have a thing that I've been kind of thinking about when it comes to quarterbacks. I mean, some quarterbacks just aren't fits for a system, right? Like, I can't think of any specific example where a guy was like really terrible at one school. I don't know, like Bo Nix was kind of like at Auburn, right? Like a few years. And then he went to Oregon and he's a top 10 pick in the draft suddenly, right?
Yeah.
Some people say the Broncos reached a little bit for him. I don't know. Maybe DJ just hasn't found a spot where he really fits in the best yet. I mean, I hate to slam these kids, man, but wow, it's not going well for him.
No, I feel you.
Anywhere, you know what I mean? And it's just, I hope he can find some kind of a home at Florida State. I mean, I'm sure they'll win some games. I don't think they're going to go in 12, but yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about like how quarterbacks fit into systems, and like I don't know, is it a coach's fault? Is it a quarterback's fault? Like, do you see yourself incorrectly as the type of player that you are? Does a coach see you incorrectly? I mean, where's the disconnect there? I guess there's a lot to be gotten into. We could probably do a deep dive on that someday.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't like looking at his stats last year at Oregon State. Like, he wasn't bad, right?
Yeah,
Like, wasn't bad, but he wants to go to that Power 5 school and prove that like, hey, I can still do it. But there's the more and more that he the more and more that he plays, the more and more you think, hey, maybe you should switch positions. Like, I'm not saying that to be mean or rude, but like,
no, but I mean, is he
dude,
even fast? Like, someone said tight end, but he's not fast enough to be a tight end, is he?
I
I don't
mean,
know.
he's mobile.
A little bit.
I mean, stick him. I mean, use him as like one of like those blocking tight ends, or
Yeah.
like just like a red zone threat.
Could you imagine going from a 5-star quarterback though to now you're a blocking tight end? I mean, you're in there on 3 tight end sets, and man, I mean, I feel for the kid, man. I hope he finds it. I hope he turns it around. I don't know if anybody struggle for any reason.
Well, it's like the Bills. It's like the Bills tight end, Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah.
Didn't play tight end until his freshman year of college. Was a blocking tight end for his first 2 years. Well, he got redshirted his actual freshman year. So blocking tight end his first 2 years, then became a receiving tight end towards the end of his like redshirt junior year, and then became one of the best tight ends in football.
I mean, yeah, it can happen, right? It can definitely happen. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to wish ill will upon anyone. I don't want to. Whatever. We'll just see. It'll play out the way it plays out, and that's it.
Before we move on, though, I got a question for you.
No, I don't want to answer your questions. I'm tired of it.
If Florida State wins out, is there a chance they still get in?
Maybe. I mean, they could still win the ACC. The ACC is a pile of hot garbage right now.
Yeah.
If they go 10-2, there's a good chance they could be there in the ACC championship at the end of the year. So sure, yeah. I mean, they could get an automatic bid.
Yeah.
At large, I doubt it. I think if they just end up 10-2 and don't win the ACC, or maybe even worse, go 10-2 and play in the championship game and lose, and go 10-3, I don't think they're in.
Yeah, especially with your 2 losses being to Boston College and then unranked Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, listen, college football has always kind of been like, it's the recency bias, right? Like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
People said Ohio State shouldn't have been in because they lost to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech was a really bad team, but Ohio State showed that they deserved to be there by winning the whole thing. So you never really know. But yeah, I mean, I think Florida State could inch their way back in. I know people think I'm crazy for saying that, but I mean, you can still win the ACC. So
No,
sure, yeah,
the reason I say this because I like you said, it's the same way I look at it. Like, if
yeah.
they went out, you win the ACC. I mean, you get an automatic bid.
Yeah, and
The
this is the
winner.
great thing. I know you don't like the 12-team playoff, but this is the great thing about the 12-team
No, it
era is
is.
like you start 0-2 and your season's not done yet,
Yeah.
right? Like you still
Okay.
have something to play for.
Here's the thing. It's not that I don't like the 12-team playoff.
Mhm.
You just could have had the same format with the 8 teams because now that it's a Power Four, because now that it's a Power Four conference, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You can still have your Power Four conference winners get in,
yeah,
and then you can still do it the same way you did it for the next seeds. The four highest at-large teams get into the playoffs.
yeah. I mean,
But it's just,
I don't disagree. I get what you're saying. I
but
get it.
like you said, the 12-team playoff though it sets up for some. You could possibly see some rivalries 2, 3 times in a season. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, this could be fun.
And I like the fact that the 18 playoff fits into the bowl schedule nicely, right? But I like
Yeah,
the fact that the 12-team playoff creates those 4 extra games where like now these teams have, they can well, we talked about it. They can either pick the home field advantage, right? They can take their home field, or they can pick another facility, they can go to another, stadium or arena or whatever and play. I think that's pretty cool. We're gonna see some playoff football in some weird places, and I think that's
so
really fun.
I heard both sides of the story about getting a bye,
Mhm.
being one of the top 4 teams and getting a bye into the next round and not
Yeah.
having to play. And but then I forget who said it, but somebody was like, "What if you miss your conference title but get in at an at-large bid? You still get that week of rest." So, like, which one do you like? Like, if you're one of
Well,
those outside teams looking in,
no, you don't get
the
to win. You have to win your conference to get one of the top 4 spots. It's the top
no,
4
no, no, no,
conference
no, no.
winners.
No, I'm not saying the top 4 spots. I'm saying like if you're a top 4 seed, you get an extra bye week, right? Like you
Right,
don't play
right,
that
right,
first week.
right.
But I'm saying like if you're if you're an at-large team and you didn't make your conference title, but you got a good shot of making it, you
Yeah.
still get that extra week of rest because you're not in your conference title game.
Oh,
But
I
you're
see what
still
you're
going to
saying.
get a
I'm
5
sorry.
through
I'm
12
sorry.
seed.
I misunderstood you. Okay, yeah.
No, you're good. No, you're good. But you're still going to get a 5 through 12 seed. And I heard that and I was like, you know what? Like, if you have, say, you have like an Ohio
I mean,
State or like an Oregon or one of these teams from the Big Ten that doesn't
yeah.
make the conference tournament
Yeah.
or that doesn't make the conference title game, they're still probably going to get in as long as they have less than 2 or less losses.
I mean, yeah, they're going to be one of they're going to be one of the higher ranked teams, of
Yeah.
the non-conference winners. So sure, yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
And they're still going to get one of those. They're still going to technically get that quote unquote bye week because they're not
Yeah,
going to be playing in the conference title game.
yeah.
But you're not
I
going to have
really
that.
think it's going to happen soon, Ben, where we're going to see Ohio State play Michigan, right, at the end of
Oh,
the
I
year.
think it will too.
And then we're going to see Ohio State play Michigan in the Big Ten championship game. And then we're going to see Ohio State play Michigan in the first or second round of the playoffs somewhere. Not the first round, obviously, but the second round of the playoffs somewhere. And it's going to be crazy. It's going to be because one of them's going to win the conference.
I,
Anyway, I want to move on. I want to get into. We have a headline this week. There was a big news or a big announcement yesterday from the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if you saw it, being a Steelers fan, but Ben, the Cleveland Browns have announced. Well, they announced yesterday that they have entered a 20-year deal, and Cleveland City Council still has to vote on the stadium naming rights today. I assume they would, I assume they would know what they're doing before they enter into the deal, and they have all these votes buttoned up, and they know what the result of the vote is going to be. But either way, entered into a 20-year deal with Huntington National Bank that would give the financial giant exclusive naming rights over the Browns stadium, no matter where they play. So whether that be, the current stadium now renovated, or the new facility that we've heard rumored about in Brook Park, a $2.4 billion retractable roof with all the fixings or whatever, gravy and everything else. No matter where they go, Huntington Field they'll retain those rights. So it's going to be Huntington Bank Field. No matter what stadium they play in, it'll be Huntington Bank Field.
Now, is that to get more money, or is that just because they?
Well, sure. I mean, yeah, it's all about money. I mean, they were First Energy Stadium for a long time. I think it's funny that people got so upset. Like, well, you can't rename Cleveland Browns Stadium. Well, you can. I mean,
Yeah,
sure you can. I mean,
it was Heinz Field for so long, and then Acrisure comes in and pays. Here, you guys want a bunch of money?
Yeah. The names aren't the hallowed parts of these stadiums, right? Like maybe the field, the property is the hallowed ground or whatever, but I don't think you can. They're not above reproach, right? Like you don't have to say like, hey, we could never name Brown Stadium anything else because so much history has happened. And what's happened in that stadium? I mean, an 0-16 season, a couple of, I don't know, Bottlegate. I mean, you've had some
Right.
really bad things. There's no good history there, right?
No, but
I mean,
even like you said though, even like you said, like the name doesn't define what the stadium is.
at all,
Like
at
like
all.
you look at Pittsburgh and you look at Acrisure Stadium, you're like, okay, this place has had some great moments. Like even if you're not a Steelers fan, right? Like Big Ben's last ever game was there,
Yeah.
right? At Acrisure Stadium. It's no longer Heinz Field, but it's still the
Yeah.
same field that it was all those years ago.
Doesn't
Like
matter.
it does like the name
Yeah.
I could give two craps what the name is of a stadium as long
Well,
as
then I think I know the answer to my next question. I want to ask you this. I mean, you are more of an Ohio State fan. You're with me on that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I would because we have mutual interest here. I mean, could you ever see the Horseshoe undergoing something like this, where it's like, I don't know. I mean, what would you call it? Value City Stadium or Kroger Field at Schottenstein Stadium or something. I mean, does it matter to you? Do you care about that?
Um, I don't think so because people are still gonna call it the shoe no matter what.
Exactly. That's
Like
yeah. That's what I think too.
the
Yeah.
official name of the stadium is Ohio Stadium, but people
Yeah.
call it the Horseshoe.
Right.
So it's like even if the name gets changed from Ohio Stadium, people are
Right.
still gonna call it the Horseshoe because it's what they've
Yeah.
called it for since it was
Right.
built. Because
People
like
still call Progressive Field the Jake. I mean,
yeah,
it's still a thing. I mean,
yeah,
I
like
don't. It doesn't matter what it doesn't matter how you refer to the stadium. I mean, as long as it's not offensive. I mean, you're not.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You're not. Who cares? I mean, I don't see why it matters what the stadium's named versus how you remember. Like that doesn't change those memories, like you said. I mean, I get the people that are upset that Yankee Stadium got torn down and a new one got built. That's tough for me because that's a brand new building. That's not
yeah. It's not.
that history. Yeah, that history's not there anymore, right? That's just a building now, right? That's different for me. I don't know, whatever.
No, but I like you said, it's just the name of the stadium doesn't define the stadium's history. It's not
No.
like now when the Browns build a whole new stadium, if like that's confirmed, right? Like it's happening or no?
No, it's not confirmed. They've got the
Not
property.
confirmed.
Yeah, they've got the
Yeah,
property. That's not confirmed that they're getting a new stadium. A lot of
yeah,
people think that they're trying to, strong arm the city into pouring more money into the renovation or whatever, because it's supposedly a $1 billion renovation versus a $2.4 billion brand new stadium. And I remember the last time I had to make a decision between 1 billion and 2.4 billion. I mean, could you imagine how much money that is? First of all, like you're
that's
like, well, you're already spending $1 billion. What's 2.4 billion? Well, that's a lot of money. I mean, that's
yeah. It's I mean, I
hundreds and
mean if
hundreds of millions of dollars, over and over again.
yeah, like if
Um,
you, I
yeah.
just want to since we're on the topic of stadiums, unrelated,
Mhm.
but I want to talk about something with soccer really quick. I mean, the Columbus
Okay.
Crew
Yeah.
had an old stadium, used to be called Mafre Stadium.
Okay.
Then they were gonna move to Texas because they couldn't agree to a new deal with. Well, it's not they couldn't agree to a new deal. They didn't want to move the stadium into downtown
Okay.
because it used to be right off the highway.
Right.
Right off the
I remember
highway.
driving by. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember driving by it. Yeah.
and then they're going through this whole legal process of moving the team, and all the fans and even the MLS stepped in and was like, "Look, like we can't move one of the original teams
Yeah.
from Columbus."
Yeah.
And I've always said I don't like the Haslams, not a fan of them. But
I
the
get it. I
only
mean, I
reason
think a
why
lot of people agree with you. Yeah.
the only reason I like the Haslams is because they saved the Columbus Crew. They put
Okay.
together an ownership group, bought the Crew, built them a new stadium in downtown Columbus,
Yeah. They
and
did do that.
Now Columbus is one of the biggest soccer towns in the United States. That's the only that
Yeah.
and but the good part is though is they didn't take down the old stadium. So all that old stadium's history and everything that happened there is still there. They just
Yeah.
changed stadiums.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
they play their second team games at the old stadium.
Okay.
So
All
it's
right.
just like the history's still there. And like there's like a whole like memorial when you go there, you can walk through and look at all the like the best moments of the stadium. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
But like
Okay. So I think you and I don't really care what the stadium's named,
yeah,
right? It doesn't
I
matter.
don't. I
It
don't.
matters what happens on the field, right? That's
It
what you're
does,
going to
yeah.
remember. It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't look back. I don't like. Yeah, sure. I remember going to Reds games when I was a kid, and it was Riverfront Stadium. Um, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like time marches on. Like that place got torn down. It became Synergy Field. They built it. Like it's now the Great America. It's just there's things change, man. I don't know. I
Yep.
mean, what are you going to do? Things change. Time moves on. I think you have to adapt. What's the saying? Adapt or die. I don't think we're going to die if we don't like the name of the stadium, but whatever. You got to move on, right?
Yep.
Speaking of moving on, I want to move on because Ohio State played last weekend. They played Akron, right? I mean, not like a huge matchup, not a top 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 matchup, really. But they're a Division I college football team, so I mean, anything can happen. So the Buckeyes win 52-6. Ben, impressive or no?
First half, no. Second half, yes.
Okay.
I
Fair.
I jokingly made the comment that Akron was going to win 3-0.
They
After
were up
those
3-0 for a while, yeah.
After those first couple of drives, I was like, okay, they might actually win 3-0. And my dad looked over at me and goes, if you told me that Akron was going to win 3-0 and didn't bet on it, he goes, I'm kicking you out. But like I said, first half, no. Second half, I think they looked a whole lot better.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, it didn't stop people from complaining online. I don't know if you read any of that or not.
Yeah, I did. Like you said, Ohio State's offense was so simple. It was just, we got better guys than you. We're going to beat you.
Yeah.
Like that drop pass to Jeremiah Smith on the first play of the game.
Yeah.
It was a little tunnel screen. If he catches it, he's gone for a touchdown.
Probably, yeah. It looked like he had it set up. They had it set up, yeah.
Like, you're not going to run that play against an Oregon or Georgia or one of the big name schools. Because how many teams, when you see two guys when you see your two receivers go this way and the offensive lineman comes this way, you're like, okay, it's a tunnel screen.
Yeah, most teams have the defensive personnel that can either fight through that block or they can get in there and disrupt it. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I will say though, Jeremiah Smith did impress me in the second half. First half, he was.
Yeah.
Dude couldn't catch a ball even if you stick him on it. But
well, that's okay. I mean, we'll yeah. I mean, I think we'll get to him in a moment. But I want to talk about
the first.
Go ahead.
I won't be impressed until I see him play a good team and look impressive the entire game.
Okay.
Because you're paying your first two teams $1.8 million to come play you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know if some teams don't ever look impressive for 4 quarters, right? Like, football is a tough game, man. Football is it's crazy how fast your timing can get off when you have 11 guys out there that are supposed to do the exact right thing at the exact right time. When one guy's off, I mean, you've seen it before. If a center gets off, a left tackle, anything, any part of the cog, when one guy's off, it's a chain reaction. It causes a lot of problems. You ever watch a whole team get derailed because all of a sudden one offensive lineman can't get a snap count down, right? Like, and if you get false start, and it stops drives. Like, it literally stops your momentum and stops the drive. I mean,
that's what it was in the first half. Is Ohio State was just shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, and listen, I think a lot of that's first game jitters, and not people
go,
what are they nervous for? They're playing Akron. They're not nervous because they're playing Akron. It's just like you're out there for the first time of the year, and it's just all different, right? The game speed cannot be. I don't think you can't. There's nothing you can do to really match game speed in practice. It's just
no.
It's gonna happen.
And you got to think too. These guys grew up their entire lives getting play calls with hand signals and signs, and now you take all that away and you add in helmet communications.
Hey, right.
Like,
now they've got to remember the plays, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to know, you're going to have to know the plays. So there's going to be confusion.
Now you're actually seeing colleges huddle. Like, when's the last time you saw colleges huddle?
Right. It's usually just everybody get in your position and look over at the sideline. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody's looking over there, right?
Like, I saw Drew, I was watching the Penn State game.
Well, Connor Stallions and everyone goes. Whatever.
I was watching the Drew Aller game, and every time he called his play, he did the Drew Brees where he gets on the knee and he looks up at everybody and reads the play.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude,
it seems so old school.
It does, and it's like, why did it take college so long to adapt to this? If you want to play it at the next level,
someone finally tried to game the system and cheat. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, I guess so.
And got caught. I mean, I'm sure other people have done something like it. But whatever. I want to move on a little bit because I want to talk about something. How did you feel about Will Howard on Saturday?
First half, bad. Second half, good.
Okay, fair enough.
Here's what I'll say. The offense will be as good as he is.
Yeah.
If he's like a Kyle McCord, it'll be the same results as last year.
Okay.
But if he's like the Will Howard we had at Kansas State, this could be one of the best offenses we've ever seen.
I mean, I thought he settled in nicely. I thought the
I
first couple
I
throws
do
looked
too.
like a
I do
little
too.
not unsure, but he just looked like he was trying to just kind of guide the ball and make sure he got it there. And then I saw some really good things from him. I thought he did a nice job of throwing on the run. There was a throw to I think it was Emeka Buka on the sideline
Yeah, I know what you're
where
talking about. Yep.
yeah, Howard kind of got flushed out, the right
Yeah.
side of the pocket and threw it on the fly, whatever, and got it to him. There was a third down throw to Jeremiah Smith later in the game where he kind of scrambled and threw it in there. That slant, I don't know if you saw the slant on the touchdown on the slant to Smith. I mean,
Yeah,
he threw that ball hard in there in the first half. That
he
was like
did. And
I was impressed by the arm speed. So
what I was gonna something I noticed too is like he kind of reminds me of a CJ Stroud that runs more. Like he's got
okay,
that incredible arm strength,
yeah,
but he's gonna run more than Stroud did.
yeah. It's still right now. It's the JT Barrett feel for me because
No, and that's
the long ball was a little shaky a couple times. Although he threw a couple really nice back
yeah.
shoulder. Well, I don't know, man. I thought he looked good. I was pleased. I don't see anything I'm alarmed about or
I don't
anything.
either. But
I think it's weird that we do something else too? Can we
yeah,
please stop comparing Will Howard and Kyle McCord right now? Can we just do it right now?
I mean,
Because I've already seen this. This is week 1. Kyle McCord had a nice game for Syracuse on Saturday, right?
Kyle
Against
McCord's better. What do you mean?
listen, Ohio University is what they are. They're also a MAC school. Everyone was like, well, listen, Will Howard struggled against Akron and Kyle McCord had a great game. Also against the MAC school. And Will Howard didn't struggle. There were a lot of drop passes. I mean, there were 3 drops that I can think of right now that if you take those out of the equation, all of a sudden Howard's completing over 60% of his passes and it looks a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the
McCord threw
score's
for
probably close to
350
80,
yards. And I'm sorry.
and the score's probably close to 80 instead of
Yeah.
56 or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not struggling. That's just things happen, man. Physical things happen in a game. You know what I mean? But McCord did fine. He was 27 to 39 for 354 yards and 4 touchdowns. Fantastic. Listen, okay, we just everybody needs to take the time to understand that Kyle McCord can be a good football player. Okay, he can be a good quarterback, and he doesn't have to be the best fit for the Ohio State offense. That's fine. There's no reason to be mad at him, right? We don't have to like call him names. We don't. I've seen that on social media this weekend or all
Yeah,
week.
that's
Still, it's going
unacceptable.
on. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, why are we mad at the kid? Like
It, I mean, it's kind of like we were talking about.
I don't get it.
I don't know if it was off. I don't know if it was off camera or not. We're talking about the whole DJ UNLA
Yeah,
situation. Like
yeah.
Kyle McCord's best fit might not have been in Columbus.
Maybe it's Syracuse.
Maybe it
That's
is, and
fantastic for him. Yeah.
it is, and like there's no reason to call them names. Like
Right.
if you're mad because we didn't win the national title last year, you can't blame that all on him.
No.
Ohio State couldn't stop the run. They haven't
No.
been able to stop Michigan's run game the last 3 years.
No.
I saw a stat. Michigan has almost rushed for 1,000 yards in the last 3 games against Ohio State.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not going to win a football game giving up almost 1,000 yards in 3 games.
No, and you can say what you want about the cheating scandal and knowing what's coming or whatever. Maybe they did know some defensive calls, but I mean, still, defense is about executing and reacting, right? I mean, you
Yep.
need to be able to. I mean, should be able to stop the run.
Yeah.
Listen, Ohio State should be able to stop nearly anyone in the nation from running the ball, right? It should happen.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm going to talk about the defense too, because I know it was Akron, but I think the defense did everything on Saturday that they set out to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think this defense can be one of the best. I think this defense can be one of the best of all time.
yeah. Well, think about it. Okay, so last year's mantra. Remember last year they went into the season and they said, okay, this year it's all about limiting our big plays. We gave up too
Yep.
many big plays last year. Remember, and they did that. I mean, they limited big plays all year last year. I think they only gave up maybe 2 or 3 plays over 25 or 30 yards last year.
Yeah.
Great. That's fantastic. But they had no takeaways. So this year, going in, I think defensive coordinator Jim Knowles said, hey, look, we got to, okay, great. We limited the big explosive plays. Done. Got that. We've buttoned that up. Now we have a problem. We didn't create any negative plays, right? So I think that was kind of on the forefront of the defense's mind. I mean, you could see a couple of guys, really trying to punch the ball out on Saturday.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was some clear video evidence of them clearly, aggressively.
Like the one where the quarterback slid and he comes in and just like boom, just hits the quarterback. I was like,
well, yeah. I mean, that's tough because you start to commit to that as the quarterback slide. You can't stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was glad they didn't get him for targeting, first of all, because they went shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
But second, because when you start to go down and a quarterback slides at the same time, I don't know how to, like, aside from a Madden glitch where you like go to dive and then just stand up, like, I don't really know how to stop that. So,
You
Yeah,
have to have
11 turnovers in 13 games is all they had last year, Ben. They had
yeah,
7 interceptions and they recovered 4 fumbles.
that's bad. Less than one a game. You're not going to win
Yeah,
many football games doing that.
no, and they still won 11. So the thing is, I know it was Akron. I know. But the defense is off to a great start. They had a pick six. They had a scoop and score right. They had a fumble recovery for a touchdown. So they scored twice, 2 different ways on defense. I thought that was great. I thought that was
Oh,
fantastic.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Something I want to touch on too is not so much of like our special teams, but our
Mhm.
special teams unit receiving the punts. I don't know if you saw that stat or not about Brandon Innes. Last
No.
year we had 70 punt return yards all season.
Okay.
He had 60 on 4 punts last week against Akron.
I felt like he looked a little more electric, and maybe that's why. Maybe it was just
Yeah.
so watered down
And
from last year.
here's the thing. The year before that, we had 90 in 13 games. Year before that, we had 90. Year before that, we had 125.
We really missed Jalen Marshall. Do you know the last person to run a punt
Jalen
or a
Marshall.
kickoff in 2014?
Yeah.
That's 10 years, man. That's a long time.
Brandon Innes said that he's going to get one this year. So
Okay,
that's his
he
goal.
almost got one. He almost got one Saturday.
He did. He said
he got tripped up. Yeah.
Said that's his goal. Is he said that he wants to bring electrifying and like revamp Ohio State's return game. He said that's something he takes pride in.
I think that's important, right? I think that's important.
Like, do you remember that Penn State Ohio State game last night? Before we move on, where Saquon Barkley took the opening kick 97 yards, and you're like,
yeah,
okay, they came to play, and he just like completely shut out Ohio State's crowd.
Yeah,
it's like you go into one of those big games on the road. If he returns one for a touchdown right off the rip, and that place is quiet,
man,
and then you send out our defense
and get a 3 and out right away. Right.
Yeah, like this could get ugly quick.
Right. Well, you know, and those kinds of things I think are hard to recover from unless you're Florida in the national championship game, and then
but
it doesn't matter. You win 41-14. But
I know on our last show we talked about Ohio State's punter being that 6'7" dude.
He didn't play.
But you hear why?
I heard a little bit. What did you hear?
I just heard that Ryan Day said he didn't have a good week of practice, and so he went with the other guy.
Yeah, he was having some major accuracy issues, I guess.
Yeah.
Which, you know, you want to have some consistency back there. I mean, especially when you don't know exactly what your offense is going to do. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just send a guy out there giving Akron field position all day. One more thing on the Buckeyes real quick. I just want to say, next on the schedule to play Western Michigan. For some reason, that's a night game.
Yeah, why is that a 7:30 game?
I have no idea. Why would, I mean, it seems crazy to waste, you know, one of the couple of night
in slots. Columbus too?
Oh yeah, it's in Columbus. Yeah, it's not gonna be at Western Michigan. Yeah, it's home. It's at home in Columbus, and it's a night game, and it's just.
Well, reason why I'm confused is because the Columbus Crew played that same night at 7:30.
Oh, well, there you go. Pick one, I guess.
So, like that's why I mean, clearly NCAA is not looking at the Major League Soccer schedule. Okay, it says, okay, we're gonna schedule 7:30 for this day.
No, they don't
I just don't understand why that's a night game. Like, do they
think
Western Michigan's about to upset Ohio State?
Listen, I hope not. I don't even know the line. I actually didn't even look up the line on this game.
I'm calling it now. 6-0 Western Michigan.
There you go. Okay, that's fine. Twice the Akron score. That's good. That you picked. And one more thing, I just want to say to Buckeye fans, like, you got to calm down, right? Like, don't take the results of these games so personally. Okay. Like, try to think about where your focus level was when you were 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. And just remember, I mean, these are human beings, right? They have a lot on their plate. They're going to class. They're trying to stay eligible for football. It's not easy, man. You've got 1,000, maybe 1 million distractions. I don't know. I never played college football. I don't know how many people are knocking on your door trying to get your attention. Especially now in the age of basically legal agents, right? Like, so many people are trying to get a hold of these kids, and it's so easy for you to say, turn off the phone and block it out. You're a football machine, but they're not. They're human, right? They're not a machine. They're human beings. So just, again, enjoy the game, man. Just I don't know, like, just enjoy the game. Watch the games. I've said it before. Enjoy the competition, and just marvel at the fact that these guys are anywhere near as good as they even are, man.
Yeah. Before we move on.
Yeah.
Did you see what Alabama did? Alabama hired a GM.
Okay. So they're looking at it like a business.
Yeah, they're looking at it like a business. And my dad said, how long until all these other teams start hiring one?
Yeah, I mean, team president, it's going to be just like the NFL. Speaking of, other schools. I'm going to get elsewhere around college football. I mean, I think I don't know. We had some interesting games, and I don't know. I mean, there haven't been like a whole lot of like I don't know, like ranked matchups or whatever going on so far. But I thought it was one in particular caught my eye this weekend. Right, Miami. Okay, the Hurricanes going to Florida, and I thought Florida might keep this game close. I almost thought Florida was going to win this game at one point. That's not what happened. The Canes won this thing
No.
41-17. Ben, are the Hurricanes back again? Are they, or does Florida just stink? Is that a little bit of both?
I think could be a little bit of both, but I think Cam Ward is one of the better quarterbacks in the country.
Okay.
I
Yeah, I
wanted
mean, you
him.
look like it.
I wanted him at Ohio State over Will Howard.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember those
I
days. Yeah,
I thought he was the best transfer quarterback available.
seemed a little more dynamic. Yeah, I get it.
But it'll be the same with Florida.
Mhm.
It'll be the same with Miami. They'll be as good as he is. If he's what he was at Washington State, they could be in the college football playoff.
Miami seems to be back every year, right? And then you look up suddenly, and they're 5-4.
Yeah, and
And
you're
they've
like,
lost to like Boston College, and they've lost to Virginia Tech, and they've lost to like West Virginia. You're like, what happened? Like I thought Miami was
hey,
back.
put some respect on Bill O'Brien. Kidding.
Hey, listen. Bill O'Brien has all my respect, man. They beat Florida State. BC might do something. Who knows, man? You might see BC in the playoffs in the next couple of years. You have no idea what's going to happen with NIL and the 12-team playoff.
Dude.
It could be whatever. And listen, we talked about it a little bit earlier on, man. Poor Florida State, dude. I mean, come on. And Bill O'Brien, speaking of Bill O'Brien, here they are. They beat Florida State 28-13. Is Mike Norvell officially on the hot seat yet? I mean, is that a thing?
I saw a video on TikTok
Uh-oh.
of a former coach, and he said there's no way he's on the hot seat because you just signed him to a huge deal, and his buyout's like over $100 million, and apparently Florida State can't afford it.
Listen, they're transferring the NIL funds over to the buyout fund now. I think they want Norvell out of there. I think he might be on the hot seat, man. Starting off 0-2 is not a good look after all the talk about the playoffs last year and missing the playoffs and then getting destroyed by Georgia. I don't care if you had 80 people out. You got beat 63-3. That's not good, right?
Yeah.
I get it. Ohio State got embarrassed in their bowl game too, but at least they only gave up 2 touchdowns. I mean, come on.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think if Florida State doesn't make the college football playoff this year,
yeah,
I think he's definitely on the hot seat.
Okay.
Like, if they don't, like you said, if they don't win out and win the ACC,
okay,
if they finish the season like 8-4, 9-3, somewhere anywhere around there, I think he might be. See you later. Goodbye.
Yeah, maybe. Listen, I don't know who they have next week. I'm not sure who they play next week, but
I think it's a team in college.
What? No way. What if they start 0-4? What if Florida State starts 0-4? What's the talk then? Is he?
Let's see here. Let's see their.
I don't want to look at their schedule. I don't want to look at their schedule. Who cares about Florida State? I want to move on. I want to move on to next week's games because there's a big one next week. We care about this one as Ohio State fans, right? Number 3 Texas goes to Ann Arbor to play the number 10 Wolverines. Texas is a 7.5-point favorite on the road. Ben, who wins this game?
I am a Longhorns fan this week, so go Longhorns.
Fair enough. Okay, I've always kind of liked Texas.
Go Texas.
Cool.
The great state of Texas.
Yeah, we'll give a little Longhorn there. I think Texas wins this game pretty easily. Yeah. Honestly, I don't think Michigan has a quarterback. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Quinn Ewers and company. I think Texas is just really going to outpace them.
Yeah,
they might be able to control the ball, run the ball a little bit in the first half, but I think eventually it's gonna. I don't think that's gonna work the whole game.
No, and I don't know why teams try it, but Michigan tried that whole 2 quarterback thing against Fresno State. Dude, I don't know why teams do it. 2 quarterbacks don't work. They never have. When's the last time?
You got to be really creative, and you've got to
Yeah, when's the last time a 2 quarterback system worked at any level?
You know what it has to be? It has to be one of your receivers has to be the second quarterback, or somebody that's on the field with the offense in the moment. That's the only way it can work in my mind. I've been thinking about it because Akron did some creative things on Saturday.
Yeah, with their backup.
Yeah, and I thought, whatever, it's cool. You have him out there as a receiver. You run him in, whatever, does a wildcat. It's not even a wildcat. He just runs the offense.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got to be really creative, but I don't think it works either. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like it.
No.
I don't like running a guy out after 3 possessions of not touching the ball And now, I mean, with the way the clock rules are, that could be like a whole quarter and a half, right? Like,
yeah, and
he doesn't
like
see any action. And then he's out there. It's like, hey, go lead us. Go down there and score. You got 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes left in the second half or in the
yeah,
first half or something. It's like, come on, can't give
and
me a video game.
it's like I told my dad, it's like what's and like a lot of times these two quarterback situations, it's like, okay, one of them's a passer, one of them's a runner. The other guy comes in the game. You know he's running the football. Like
Yeah,
there's teams don't try and like have him throw like a 40-yard bomb. It's just okay, he's coming in, he's gonna fake
yeah,
the handoff, he's gonna run it to the right.
truly, yeah. It's almost always foreseeable. I mean, you can okay, here comes a jet sweep, or here comes
Yeah.
some kind of crazy option, or what? Yeah, always. It's
And it's
like,
like what I told my dad is it's like if you're gonna do a two quarterback system, and like you said, it's not one of the receivers. I think the way you have to do it is if you bring in the backup,
mhm.
you got to run the offense normally. I
Yeah,
don't care if he's a running quarterback, if he's a throwing quarterback. Here's the thing. Here's what you can tell him. If you drop back and your first read's not open, take off and run.
yeah. But give the illusion that we're going, like, don't just come in and straight out run the wildcat with a direct snap right to the guy. I mean, don't do that's not going to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. No. Like.
I mean, against any team that can reasonably slow the run down, that's not going to work
Nope.
ever. That's never going to work because you see, like you said, you see the guy come in,
Yeah.
you might as well have Connor Stallions on the staff. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
here comes the running play. I mean, you know it.
Like if it was me, and I had a quarterback that was really good at running, the coach is like, okay, we're doing a two quarterback system, and when he comes in, he's running the football. I'd be like, no, he's not. I'd be like,
Yeah.
he's gonna throw the ball just as much.
Even if
I
it's
think,
just a bubble screen or if it's just a something.
yeah.
I mean, if it's a planned check down to the tight end, you know what I mean? Just something. I mean, anything at all. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Yeah, I agree with you there. Other ranked. There's only one other ranked matchup next week. Number 14 Tennessee goes to number 24 NC State. I don't really know much about NC State. Tennessee's an 8-point favorite on the road. I think I'm gonna go with Tennessee in this one.
Yeah.
I really haven't gotten to watch as much college football as I've wanted to this year yet. So
Me
I haven't
neither.
seen NC State play. So I don't know anything about them, to be honest with you. I didn't even read much about them. But those are the only two ranked matchups. So kind of a little bit of a dud next week. Weird that Texas and Michigan that's not even the night game of the week on ABC and ESPN, by the way.
What is?
Well, here, I'll show you. So Texas at Michigan is going to be on Fox. That's a big noon kickoff, right? That's going to be the Fox.
I mean,
big noon
makes
kickoff.
sense.
It does make sense. I mean, Fox gets those. Think about the Ohio State Michigan game. I mean, Fox is primarily going to get that game. It's always going to be at noon. And then we were talking about that Tennessee at NC State game. That's going to be at 7:30. It's on ABC and ESPN. That'll be the game of the week.
I mean,
so I assume game day is going to be at NC State then, right? They'll be in, right? Is that right?
Probably. Well, maybe not.
You think they'll be
okay?
You're right. They have to be.
No, they don't, because Kirk Herbstreit, sometimes he hops off the show, hops on a private jet, and flies to whatever game he's doing.
You know what? You're right. You're right. You're right. I have heard him mention that. You're right. Yeah, it could very well be in Ann Arbor. We'll see. I don't know.
I don't know where it's at.
I didn't look it up. I'm not into the groove yet, man. It's like too early for
here.
me. Well, let's move on because we've got NFL starting tomorrow. Okay. The NFL, I don't know. I like college football a little bit better, but obviously the NFL is a huge draw. We at least have, we aren't fans of the same team, and that's okay. I'm a Browns fan. You're a Steelers fan, but at least we're in the same, we're in the same conference, same division. So let's have fun with that. Let's. What do you think? I just want to get your real quick before we have to get out of here. I just want to get your order of finish, and if you want to give me a little bit of a record guess on the teams, let me know who wins the AFC North all the way down to who finishes last, who finishes fourth. Let me know.
If I'll say this, if every team stays healthy and there's no injuries, which we know is not going to happen, but if every team stays healthy,
but relatively speaking, yes.
Yeah, I think it goes Ravens, Bengals. You're going to go Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers. But I think all teams finish over 500.
You struggled with those last two.
Because here's the reason why I struggled. Because our defense is good enough to carry us to wins. But is our offense good enough to put up points still?
Well, I think you have to. I mean, you're talking about the Steelers. I think the question you have to ask is who's going to be playing quarterback in Week 8, right? Is it still going to be Russell Wilson? Will it be Justin Fields? Will it be somebody completely different? What if neither of those guys works out?
Yeah.
If neither of those guys works out, they have a little bit of a contract problem. They have a They have a money problem, but
Well,
I'm sure they'll find some creative way to get something done. I'm sure they have some
yeah.
cap room. They can do something.
And you said records. I think the
Yeah.
Ravens, if everybody's healthy, I think the Ravens go like 13-4, 12-5. I
Okay.
think the
Yeah.
Bengals are 11-6, 10-7. I think the Browns are 10-7, 9-8, and I think Pittsburgh could be 10-7, 9-8.
Okay. I mean, you almost carbon copy what I said here. I didn't tell you mine on purpose because I didn't want you to do that. But you did. I mean, I think we're just both on the same page about the division. Here's my thing. Here's my thinking on this. And like I said, just real quickly before we get out of here, I want to end with this. Think about it this way. Okay, the Ravens got better through free agency, right?
They did.
They did. The Steelers got better through free agency, right? The Bengals are going to be better because Joe Burrow will be back and like we said, relatively speaking, presumably healthy all season. Okay, we hope,
Yeah.
right? We hope that. And the Browns, the Browns will be playing at Huntington Bank Field, so there's that. They didn't really do anything to get better, did they? I mean,
No,
they
you
signed a
got Jerry
different
Jeudy.
backup quarterback. They signed a different backup quarterback, another guy with like a lot of, he's got an interception problem, right? He's got a turnover problem. Just I don't know, man. I mean, show me where they got better. I don't see it anywhere.
I mean, the thing I don't understand is, like, yeah, you had a great defense last year, right? But
Yeah,
you also still gave up more.
sometimes.
That's what I was gonna say. You had a great
Yeah.
defense last year, but you gave up more points than Pittsburgh did. And
Their defense was awful on the road. Ben, I don't know why, but the defense was awful on the road.
Normally, they're saying defense travels.
Yeah.
It didn't
It's
travel.
the same everywhere. Yeah.
It's like every time they went, they're like, defense, you guys can stay home. We'll just our offense will play both sides of the ball.
It's like they brought the players, but they forgot the pass rush and the tackling.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what happened. It's weird. I don't get it. I don't get that. Anyway, records. Same. I have Ravens. I think the Ravens go 13-4. If Lamar's healthy all year and they're going to be a juggernaut. They're scary. The Bengals probably 11-6 with Joe Burrow all year, right? I think the Steelers go 10-7 because I don't know. Mike Tomlin just always finds a way. It's ridiculous.
Dude, even with the schedule, I
kind of makes me sick.
I think it does. But like, if you start out hot, and you're like, say you're like 4-1,
yeah,
or 4-2, 5-1,
yeah. You only
got to squeak out 4 wins to get to that 500. I mean, I know that's not what you're shooting for. You're shooting for a Super Bowl.
No,
but with this, but with our schedule, if you can get to 500, that's a successful year.
Yeah. I think I think they could win 10 games. I really do. I almost said the Phillies. I don't know why. I think the Steelers could win almost. Yeah, I think they could win 10 games. And listen, I keep saying this, and I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Man, people are going to get mad at me pretty soon once people catch on to this. But I think the Browns go 8-9, maybe 9-8. I don't think the Browns are going to be overly impressive at all, Ben. I think there's a good chance the Browns could start off like 1-3, 2-4, 2-3, something like that. I don't know. I think they're going to have a hard time battling back from that.
I don't disagree with you, but at the same time,
on paper they should be phenomenal, but it doesn't happen.
They should be, yeah.
It never goes according to what's on paper, right? The Steelers on paper last year should have probably been 5-12.
Yeah,
they weren't.
But like you said, you're out Nick Chubb for 4 weeks, so you don't have a running game.
No.
So it's strictly going to be Deshaun Watson throwing 40 passes a game. So can his arm hold up?
He hasn't taken a snap since November in a meaningful game. I haven't seen him on the field. I keep hearing the reports from practice, Ben, and supposedly he's looking phenomenal at practice. Imagine that. All the Browns beat writers say, hey, man, Deshaun Watson looks great in practice. He completed a pass the other day to like a guy. They were standing on the side. They were playing catch. I hope he completed the pass. Like, I just don't. I don't trust that he's going to be physically ready. I don't know.
What happened week 2 will happen in week 1 this year. He's going to throw a pick on the first play of the game. Then he's going to fumble the ball later in the game. Then he's going to throw another pick, and then they're going to lose.
Like 9-6, probably, right?
Yeah,
because the Cowboys can't score either. Yeah, what do you think about this? We didn't even get into week 1. The Browns play the Cowboys. I don't know who the Steelers played, Ben, because I don't care.
Falcons.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't care. So the Browns play the Cowboys. It's like a 4:25 kickoff. I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to tell because, like, if you're a Cowboys fan, you feel like they're going to lose to the Browns. If you're a Browns fan, you feel like they're going to lose to the Cowboys. It's one of those teams, like, they just can't ever get it right. They're always there, right? They're right there,
Yeah,
but they can't quite get it right. They're both that franchise right now. I think the Browns, it's whatever. I think the Cowboys win this game.
I'd have to.
27-21, something like that.
I'd probably have to agree, but I think it could go either way too, though. I think the Browns could
I do
come in
too.
there and win 27-21.
Well, that's the thing. I think the Browns have 17 games legitimately that can go either way this year. Okay. I could see him
Yeah,
winning. I could see him losing all 17 games, but there's nothing about this roster. There's no leadership from the quarterback position that I've seen, unless Jameis Winston does something, similar to what we saw last year. From the backup. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I just
I
think
feel
the
you.
Browns could go 8-9, 9-8. I think it's gonna be one of those up and down years. I really think it's gonna be one of those years where it's like they win one, lose one, win one, lose one.
Yep.
Win. It's never quite maddening because they're never really gonna lose 3 or 4 in a row, but you never
But
really
then
get into a groove because they're never gonna
yeah,
win 3 or 4 in a row either.
yep.
So whatever. Listen, that's it for today. I think for next week's episode, what are we gonna do next week? What do you want to talk about next week? I
Maybe
think we ought to
recap.
check in.
Maybe recap week 1.
Well, yeah, we got to recap week 1. Obviously, we'll
Maybe
do
touch
that.
on
We'll talk
some
about.
baseball.
Well, that's what I was
Years
just gonna say. We're gonna
yeah,
check in with the Guardians, right? Because
yeah,
man, they're doing their best to hold on to that AL Central lead. I mean, that right
yeah.
now they're as of right now they're up 4.5 games on the Twins. I think it's 5.5 on the Royals. The Royals have lost the season high 7 games, by the way, in a row. It could be what the Guardians needed to alleviate a little bit of that pressure and kind of cruise in with that Central Division win. But we'll see. We'll talk about them next week. We'll see where they are next week. I mean, by this time next week they could be a game out. We'll see. You never know. We'll definitely talk about the Ohio State Western Michigan game, and we'll let you know you'll know how the Texas Michigan game went, but we'll talk about that game as well. And we'll talk about the Browns and Steelers from week 1. And if anything crazy happens in the NFL or college football, we'll obviously have that for you. And one of these days, we're going to get Brian. This is like the Come On Ref family of shows, right? It's like the Come On Ref network family. I don't know, right? Are we under that umbrella? Does that count?
Yeah.
One of these days, we're going to get Brian on here. You're going to put an apple on your head, and Brian is going to shoot it off. That's going to happen live on one of these shows one day. Could it be next week? We don't know. I mean, tune in. You might see it. You might not. I have no idea. We'll see. But yeah, for Ben Bales, again, I'm Chad Bryan. We will catch you next week. Ben, do you have anything you want to close with, man? I've been talking too much.
Nothing really.
Nothing
Besides,
really.
go Guardians.
That's it. They don't call him the best color man in the league for nothing. Remember that from Major League? It's
do.
like, anything to add?
Yeah.
Nope. They don't call him the best color man in the league for nothing. Anyway, well, now I want to watch that movie again. But
Great movie. Great movie.
One of my all-time favorites. We got to do a movie episode, or at least a movie segment soon. Sports movies.
Sure.
We got to talk about that soon. Maybe we'll do that next week on the show. Who knows?
Oh, for sure.
No, there's probably too much going on with football. It's not an evergreen time of year, is it? So we'll talk football next week, football and baseball. But all right, guys, thanks for watching. Again, remember, like and subscribe. Both, to my channel. You can look for the Come On Ref channel. You can find us there. You can subscribe to us there. Obviously, that's a different show, but we bring you similar content on that channel as well. Just, man, all your sports content. Just subscribe to everywhere you can find us, and we'll hopefully entertain you. And until then, we'll just see you next week. Thanks, guys.